I'm Paul Brett and I'm a co-founder of Prescient. And we're 9 years old as a company and we've invested in about 33 films. What I'm seeking in a pitch is that you understand your material and you've got a clear idea of what you're going to do with it and how you're going to get there, whether you can be collaborative. It's about your personality, because what I'm looking for is, can I work with you? So I want to know if you can do the elevator pitch, which is that if you've got 30 seconds, 40 seconds, can you get across what the idea is?
I'm Mandy Coombs and I'm Head of Operations at Red Bee's Creative Division, and what we do is promotion and branding for media brands. What we like to try and do is make sure that we've got a true level playing field before we even start. So we want to make sure that we are pitching to the right people. So if we can't have access to the decision maker, then we would rather not pitch. We need to make sure we're going to be able to meet with people and truly understand the brief before we pitch. So getting that environment right and making sure that you're pitching for the project that you think you're pitching for, and you have a real opportunity of winning it before you even go into the process.
On pitching, you want to think about your audience and try and get me to see that audience, because then I've gone down the journey with you.
I'm David O'Hearns, Creative Director at Vibe in Macclesfield, and we are an integrated digital PR and brand agency. In any business, there's obviously a need to compete, compete for work or relationships, partnerships. It's difficult. It's difficult to do. You get a brief of sorts, and you have to do the best with what you can, and then also present yourself well on the day. We'll always try and understand the organisation as much as we possibly can, but create an idea that can live and breathe, something that can grow over a period of time, and in the modern world be quite flexible, so it can apply itself across a number of different channels. But it's the big idea that's most important to us. That's the thing that people are buying, the creativity that you can give to them.
The worst thing you can possibly do in a pitch is read. If you're reading from it, it means you don't know what it is and you don't have ownership of it, and you've put a barrier between me and you. So that's an absolute no-no. Not even back of a fag packet notes. If you're distracted, I'm distracted. If I'm brought out of the moment, I'm brought out of the moment. It would be exactly like if we're dating and we're having a coffee or having a drink or having a bite to eat and you keep looking at your BlackBerry. Not going to work. So it's really important that you maintain eye contact and that you are convincing.
My name is Steve Carsey. I'm the Director of Television and Online for Sassy Films. In that capacity, I oversee the development and creative strategy for all our broadcast operations across traditional TV and online platforms. Personality is vitally important. Personality to present yourself properly to the rest of the industry and your peers, and also to encourage the industry and potential buyers to take you seriously when you're pitching to them. Just the people skills and the psychology, the understanding of psychology and the understanding of sales and pitching and marketing to be able to sell and persuade potential buyers to work with you, to trust you with their budgets. And that's ultimately what we're all aspiring to do.
If you are presenting to me, another no-no is don't say, I'd love you to read my script. I know it needs work in the second act, because I'm not going to read it twice. If you know it needs work, go and do the work and then come back to me. You have to give me the script that's at the best version.
When given the opportunities to be put in front of a client, it's important to remember the reason that you're there. It's okay to talk about yourselves, maybe for a short period of time, and have an element of that in the meeting or the pitch. But the main reason for being there is that the client has asked you to pitch because they have an issue or a problem or a challenge, and they want you to address that. So it's very important that the time that you do have with the client, that the majority of it is spent making sure that you're talking about them and what it is that you can offer them to solve any of the problems that they've got to date. In time, I'm sure they will ask a little bit further about your own agency, but maybe not to start your pitch talking about yourself.
you do need to be focused, but focused on being in the moment rather than focused on a need to get across 5 points. Because it's perfectly all right. Afterwards, you can say, oh, and I meant to say that I've got George Clooney attached, you know. Well, it'll come up, and that's just something you can follow up with later. Oops, I forgot, we've got George Clooney attached. But you want to be able to establish the dialogue. So again, to come back to the dating analogy, you don't want everything on the first date. You want to establish a process whereby you can maintain the relationship and that you can enter into a dialogue. And so I have, at any given moment, 36 projects on the slate, roughly. And I'm constantly rejuvenating that slate and revisiting it, and I will seek to ask for updates. And that's where I'm intending to get to.
My top tip would be learning to say no to pitching rather than just pitching for everything, which is very tempting, of course, because in the end we all need to make money, but not every pitch is worth doing if you haven't got a level playing field in the first place.